Some sad news to report this afternoon. Astronaut Jim Lovell has died at the age of 97. Lovell was known for his heroic command of the Apollo 13 mission, which didn't make it to the moon, but safely came back to Earth after a troubled launch.
He appeared on Fox 32 several times with our meteorologist, Mike Caplan, who's joining us now. Mike, so sorry for your loss, man.
I was really privileged to get to know him maybe better than a lot of people through an organization that started out called the Planetary Studies Foundation. And one of their primary goals was to gather meteorites. And I was invited, along with Captain Lovell and a bunch of other people, to go to the South Pole, Antarctica, to pick up meteorites. I couldn't go. My son was just born. There's a picture of us, I think in 2019. And what I was able to do was have a phone interview with Captain Lovell from Antarctica live on television here in Chicago. And it was just an honor. And then over the years, we got to hang out together. That picture right there was at Game 2 of the White Sox World Series. He and I and his son Jeff rode in a limousine to Sox Park. And of course, the Lovells, Texas fans, they were rooting for the Astros. We get out of the limousine at Cellular Field, and they see Captain Lovell and his youngest son, Jeff, all adorned in Houston Astro stuff. I'm wearing a White Sox cap, and a bunch of police officers like, hey, where are all these Houston people here? What are you doing hanging around with them, Captain? I said, that's Jim Lovell of Apollo 13 and his son. And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he can wear what he wants.
That picture that that is shared there with the two of us was right after Scott Podsednik hit the walk-off home run. Jim's giving the thumbs down, and I'm all excited because the Sox had won. Jim Lovell was a gracious man. He shared wonderful stories of him in Maryland, how his late wife, she actually died just 2 years ago this month. And he would share stories with us, Laura and me, about how the two of them met. He and some of his buddies at the Naval Academy, when they were courting their soon-to-be wives, made paper dresses for their soon-to-be spouses for a bizarro party. And then, of course, he wanted to talk about his trips to the moon. He is one of only 3 astronauts that actually went to the moon twice. And it just... a hero, but he was a genuine man. He was so friendly. At the restaurant that he co-owned with his son, he would walk around and just be absolutely just a gentleman, a friendly guy. You'd never know that, here is a true American pioneer. Now, I want to show you something, a little video clip. He was always intrigued by sports cars that Laura and I had, and I always joked with him about, hey, you were taking 160 million horsepower rockets. Take this Dodge Viper out there. And so he would, start the car and rev it up. And last interview that I did with him, I think it was in 2019, I let him fire up my Dodge Charger, and here's how that played out.
You got to do better than that, Captain. Goose it. How many horsepower did the Saturn V have?
Not enough.
Wow.
That is just the kind of guy he was. It had a wonderful family, man, too. 4 children. I've texted a couple of them today already and extended my condolences. But, a lot of people in the area. He made Lake Forest his kind of, home away from home. He was raised more or less in Milwaukee, but he really embraced the Chicago area and became an integral part of this whole area. And he will be missed. And one thing that really stood out about him, he wanted to get human beings back to the moon. He was a staunch advocate of getting back to the moon. There he was as a Navy cadet there at in Annapolis, and he wanted us to go back to the moon in the worst way, and he would be happy to know that we're trying to make that happen at some point.
Yeah, such nice memories. And I remember seeing the two of you together a few times. And I know you're a big Apollo kid. You grew up like watching these missions, and I know what a hero he was to you, Mike Caplan. I know that was a special friendship.
You're old enough, and I'm not throwing you under the bus here. You're old enough to remember when he, Bill Anders, and Frank Borman were flying around the moon in Apollo 8 on Christmas Eve, and they were reading from the book of Genesis. We were, little kids at the time, but what an impression that made, really, on the whole world.
Yeah, very special. Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thanks,
Really
Mike.
nice.